Hi, welcome back. Parent Power, Child Success, we're on our way. ABC Parenting Method, we're on our way. Hello, welcome to another session of Parent Power, Child Success. ABC, Parent Method, we're up to C. C is for chart, skill improvement chart, what we call doing great chart, because our child is doing great when we're using the chart and they're learning from it. Now we talked a bit about assertion, directing our child by asking specifically for what we want, what we need them to do, what they need to do. We talked about brief small consequences. Talked about sometimes things getting out of hand, and sometimes we do blow up at our children, or start to get emotional or intense. That happens too, and whatnot. But ultimately, learning and the foundation of success does not come from threats. It does not come from punishment. It does not come from consequences. It comes from feeling proud about oneself, being intrinsically motivated, feeling good, out of the positive. Now, as a psychologist, I certainly learned a lot of different theories, approaches, and whatnot. And when I was learning, certainly one here heard a lot about B.F. Skinner and what he put his daughter into a conditioning box, and birds and pets and animals, and fed them pellets and see if he could influence the behavior by reinforcement or not reinforcement or punishment, consequence, all the rest of it. And it's a funny thing that he found that when it comes to consequences, they don't work as effective as reward and reinforcement. That reinforcement is a lot more positive. What happens with reinforcement is that the bird, amoeba, fish, child, adult, whoever it is you're reinforcing in a positive manner particularly, what happens is that gets internalized and generalized. It comes into our mind and we tend to respond to it even when the person who is giving that positive reward is no longer there. It's internalized within us, not just external to when someone's there, and it gets generalized to different situations. That when we're in whole different settings, and the person who's not giving us the pellet, giving us the reward, clapping, applauding for us, isn't there, somehow it ends up going inside and staying within us as a foundation, as a motivation to do well, to do good. Somehow self-esteem kicks in, and other issues like that. That he found, B.F. Skinner found, does not happen with punishment, with threats, with consequences. That somehow when the person who's giving those things are no longer there, it doesn't get internalized and generalized. The person doesn't necessarily get influenced by that in such a major way. So ultimately, what the entire Parent Power Program is about is building our child up from the positive. We started with A for assertion, went to brief small consequences, but really the rest of the program is about different positive ways to build our child to believe in themselves and to build their skills. And this is essential because it's not going to happen out of the negative. Now, children today are misbehaving, they're fresh, they're disrespectful, they're impulsive. A lot of problems with children today. My own child, she's grown now, past college. but I've worked for years in schools, with parents, all kinds of situations, and what I hear over and over again is children are not like they used to be. Children are very, very different. They respond very, very differently to things. Schoolwork today is much tougher, much harder than it used to be. So a lot of children begin to think, I must be dumb, I must be stupid, I can't do this. They start to give up, they get frustrated. So in terms of what we're talking about, the need for people to feel successful, the fact that feeling successful, getting a sense of positive reward, reinforcement, positive feedback, in any way having a sense of accomplishment from things is harder and harder for children today. Basically, we are having children play a game that is very hard to, almost impossible for them to win. We're asking them to do 50 to 4,000 things right. So even if little Jimmy wakes up in the morning and says, oh my God, everyone gets down on my case, I'm going to try to be perfect today like an angel, and he does 49 things right. By the time he does that 50th thing a little bit wrong, and a teacher or a parent or someone else or his inner Jiminy Cricket conscience tells him, no, you did that wrong. Why are you doing it that way? He says, oh, I give up. This is impossible. So we're having children play a game today that's very hard to impossible to win for a lot of children. Now a successful child, pick on me, a child who really, knows the answers and really does good in school and really is able to ace those tests and do very good. They get a sense of reward and positive reinforcement probably at least once a week, maybe once a day, likely once an hour, or maybe once every few minutes or once a minute. A child who struggles or it's a little bit hard, they're lucky to get a sense of reward or success, once a day, once a week, maybe not even once a month, maybe once a year, or maybe never. So for a lot of children, the whole motivation, the whole sense of reward, a sense of success, a sense of accomplishment in doing schoolwork and being successful is very elusive, very hard to get. But what did I say? That we can do threats, we can do all kinds of punishment, we can do consequences, but ultimately it's really the reward, the sense of accomplishment, the sense of gaining something. Everything we do for reward, reinforcement, for the positive gain that we're getting from it. So people might object saying, well, I do things, very nice, but if you trace it, you look for it. I talk to teachers and some teachers say, well, no, that's not drum teaching because I love it. If people won the lottery and they won, $100 million in the lottery, a lot of people probably wouldn't continue with their jobs. But the people who would come back to work and continue to work for years to come in their jobs, even though they've got $100 million in the bank, have a different sense of reward. Not monetary, but there's a sense of reward from what they're doing, from their job. But there is a reward. They are working for a reward. And we get so angry and aggravated at our children because they won't do schoolwork, they don't like doing schoolwork, but they don't have a sense of reward. Why should I do it? Well, 20 years from now when you grow up, you're going to really need this math and to count your change and to work at your job. It's too far. It's too far in the distance for them. They don't really understand that. It's not really part of a sense of immediate reward and whatnot. They need a sense of pride. And as I said, a lot of children rarely get this, hardly ever get this. Maybe once a month, maybe every few months, whatnot, because we're making them play a game that's very hard to impossible to win, to get a sense of reward. Asking them to do 50 to 4,000 things right, math, English, social studies, reading, a lot of things. What doing great charts do in terms of the ABC parent method, it changes the nature of the game from one which is very difficult to almost impossible for them to win to one in which they will win and can win. And we do that by using doing great charts. And here we say, well, okay, we kind of want them to still do the 50 to 4,000 things right. But we're basically putting to them, okay, most importantly, we want you to do 2 things right. Concentrate on 2 main key goals. So what the doing great charts involve is rewarding and reinforcing our child to focus on, work on, succeed at accomplishing 2 key goals or building 2 key skills. And these 2 key skills are going to be the 2 things that our child most needs to improve that can dramatically help them to do better in school and or home, with their emotions, with their friends, with other people, with their relationships, with their communication, with their schoolwork, whatever these 2 things are, which is different from one child to another. So I want you as a parent to think, what are the 2 most important things that if my child improved would really dramatically help them to be a success in the present, in school, at home, in their life, as well as in the future. And if you think about that and put them on the doing great chart, they will hop to it because now it becomes a game that they can and they will win. Because it's a lot easier to think about, really working on those 2 things to do right. So the funny thing about positive motivation and motivating anybody is that motivation is not quite everything. Because a lot of children who are not doing so good in school and having difficulties and having problems, we think, well, they're lazy or they're just not motivated. If we just gave them a kick in the tush or we just kind of, gave them the right motivation or bribed them in the right way, that would really help. And they'd be able to, go ahead and do what they have to do. It just takes, dangling a carrot and motivating them or from positive or negative motivation, whatever it might be. But motivation isn't everything. I tell teachers, audiences, parents, you name it, that I can motivate you. I can say, I'll give you $10 million if you can get through that wall behind me. You'll be motivated to do that. But unless you know the right karate, chops, kicks, how to do it, or you're a workman, a handyman, know how to drill in the right way to get through that wall, you won't be able to do it. You'll be motivated to do it, but you won't be able to do it. So part of the doing great chart, part of the positive approach, part of the entire Parent Power Child Success program is certainly increasing motivation so the child feels proud about what they're doing and they're motivated to do it and they feel they can be successful at doing it and they're rewarded to do it, but it's also helping them learning how to do something, how to do it. And when we set up these two key goals, two key skills that we want them to improve on the Doing Great chart, we're really helping them to learn to break down, okay, it's not a zillion things I've got to do right, but if it's just these two most important things, how can I do that? How can I succeed at these things? They're going to find a way. You're going to help them to find a way. Teachers can help them to find a way. They'll be motivated. They'll be focused to be able to do it. So what the Doing Great chart consists of, you can download that as part of the app. Go to the link in order to download the app. The chart consists of the squares that represent the different days of the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then on the left-hand column are the two goals, two key goals that we want our child to improve. And basically, the formula is that we want to create titles for those goals, that we want to boldface and underline. Boldface and underline. And those titles should be the general key thing that we want them to accomplish with the goals. Underneath that, you can write examples of it, or write ways of operationalizing it, behaviors in order to accomplish those goals. And examples are given in the app, in the workbook. And for those goals, the scoring is very simple. It's either a 1 or a 0. A 1 means that, oh my God, Jane, today you really made an effort. You really tried. You didn't kind of do really great, but you made an effort. At least you went in the right direction. Or you were a big success. It was amazing. You really accomplished it. You put effort in and you improved it. And you did it the right way. You did great on that goal, on that skill. That's fantastic. You get a 1. So 1 is for either effort, going in the right direction, or actual improvement. 0, no effort, no improvement. You need to work harder. Now, Doing Great chart, we want to tie that to rewards, tangible rewards. If possible, little things, we can ask our child to draw up a list of rewards. What do they want if they do good, if they get 1s during the week in Doing Great chart? In general, though, in terms of rewards, research shows that the more trouble a child is having, the more frequent we need to reward them. So for some children, we might not want to reward them at the end of the week. It might just be too long. It might be the end of the day that we need to reward them. So the Doing Great chart gives our child a sense of accomplishment, motivation, builds that inner self that is so important to be able to tackle, deal with, understand, do the tough work of school. Very, very tough for children today. Very, very aggravating, very frustrating. They need a lot of self-belief in order to move ahead with it. But in particular, part of the program is really building in our child the strength to be successful in life. And life is tough. Life is challenging. We all know that. We have friends, we have family members that we know that are suffering, that are in pain, that suffer or have problems with depression or anxiety, or their jobs, or it's hard to hold a job, or their relationships, or divorce, or separation, all kinds of difficulties. Life is a journey. Life is a challenge. Life is a test. And in order to pass that test, we need to build our skills. We need to believe in ourselves in order to do that. Well, we're always going to be encountering major problems in our life, major difficulties, major challenges. And what the Doing Great chart does, it perhaps is one of the most important factors in helping our children to learn the most important lesson in life. That life is filled with challenges, problems, that I can't be perfect and instantly good at everything. But when I put my mind to it, I focus on what is the problem I'm facing, I can overcome it. So Doing Great chart sets up a scenario that the two things that everyone's getting on my case about and complaining about how I do it and kind of criticizing me for, when I put my mind to those two things, I was able to overcome and do that. And that forms a template, a roadmap for encountering and realizing that in this life journey, I'm going to encounter all kinds of challenges, difficulties, problems. But if I tackle them one by one, and I focus on the solution and how to come upon that solution and believe in myself and being able to do it, I'm going to be able to be successful and overcome my problems and meet the challenges that I'm facing. So Doing Great chart, I advocate that where possible to really have a child's teacher or teachers in school also use a doing great chart to focus on, to name, what are the two most important things in school a child needs to improve. Maybe that chart can go back and forth between school and home on a daily basis, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe through the email. There'd be some communication. Again, the scoring is simple, a 1 or a 0. 1, effort or actual improvement, 0, no effort, no improvement. Because the teacher knows what your child is having difficulties with. So if you can get the teacher's feedback on a daily basis to be able to give the child feedback and you feedback, 1 or 0, whether on those two issues that the child is most importantly has to work on, whether your child has made an effort and then you can reward the child for it, maybe the teacher can reward the child for it just through intangible rewards or through actual tangible things that you work out with your child, very, very, very helpful. So if at all possible, have a chart go back and forth between home and classroom, have the teacher also work on doing great chart in class. There's part of the app that you can download, print out, hand to the teacher for teacher instructions concerning using one in the classroom. Very, very helpful. Because really, ultimately, some of these difficulties that children have with the academic demands and academic work is very, very daunting, very, very difficult. So if in school, if a child is having a reading problem, a focus problem, distraction problem, getting his homework in on time, organization problem, if that can be pinpointed and worked on as one of the two most important things that can dramatically improve how your child is doing in school, and teacher rewarding that, monitoring that, looking at that with your child can be enormously helpful. And then you can in turn reward maybe some small consequences at home, but certainly reward the positives for that. The other thing I advocate with families, very often if I'm working with families, is that not only baby child is on doing great chart, but everybody in the family is on doing great chart. That teaches the child, or even in a classroom if it's a teacher, that the teacher too is on doing great chart if a teacher is using this with their entire classroom or groups of children in the classroom. What this does, it shows to our children that in terms of life, what life is all about is growing, learning, evolving, getting better, building skills, and that we all have difficulties, challenges, things that we're not so good at, that we're weak at. So we all need to work constantly on being able to grow, learn, be more successful, get better at things. And so if mom and dad are on a doing great chart, they are able to show their children that, yeah, I'm not perfect, and you tell me what I need to improve. Maybe I need to scream less at you, or maybe I need to kind of, spend more time with you. Put that in the doing great chart, and I'll work on those things to be able to show the child that we're doing it. That we're going in that direction. Likewise, sometimes it's good to, in addition to individual charts, have a family chart. What is it, the two most important things that all of us as a family need to work on in terms of communicating better, supporting each other better, caring for each other better, doing something better? Doing great charts are life-changing. They're amazing. ABC, parent method. It will help. Try it. Use it for a number of weeks. Email me your results. Tell me about it. And I'll see you next session as we move on in the 9 key parent actions. Take care. Best of everything always.